Hello, I'm Mariana King, and this is Where the Sidework Ends. If you're hankering to break in a new piping bag, this recipe is the one for you. It's the technical challenge from episode 2, season 4 of the Great British Baking Show, Mary Berry's Viennese Whirls. This recipe needs no British to American translation. You can find it on pbs.org, and the link is below. Let's get started. Like most things in the Great British Baking Show, this recipe begins with jams. Add 200 grams of raspberries to 250 grams of jam sugar in a high-sided saucepan, mash the berries, and mix the sugar. Stir to combine. You'll bring it to a boil and let it boil for about 4 to 5 minutes. When it gets good and jammy, you'll spread it in a 13 by 9 inch baking tray to let it cool down and get nice and jellified. While the jam is setting, move on to the biscuits. Put 250 grams of very soft unsalted butter in the bowl of a mixer and add 50 grams of powdered sugar. Sift it in. You want to sift everything in this recipe because these cookies are really about the texture. Then make sure you scrape down the bowl as well to get everything good and incorporated. You'll sift in 225 grams of all-purpose flour and 25 grams of cornstarch and mix that all together as well. Then you'll scoop it all into a piping bag. I like to put my piping bag in a glass so I can use both hands to fill it. Pipe onto a baking tray lined with parchment and give them plenty of room between each whirl. They're not going to spread a lot, but it's tidier this way. And then you'll bake in a 375 degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes until they get nice and golden. While your biscuits are baking, you'll make the buttercream. And that's just 100 grams of unsalted butter, softened, and 200 grams of icing sugar with about a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is an icing I remember from my childhood in Oklahoma. My mother made this all the time. I like to just mix it by hand. It does come together. And now we're ready to assemble. Gather your jam, your buttercream, and your biscuits, and carefully spread the jam on one of each pair of biscuits. These are really delicate cookies, so you want to use a light hand here. When half of your biscuits are jammed, you want to pipe on the buttercream on top of the jam, and then you'll top the buttercreamed biscuits with a fresh biscuit and dust the whole lot with some icing sugar. Ta-da! And now we enjoy. These sweet, buttery treats are screaming to be enjoyed with a hot, bitter espresso. A tiny version would actually be very elegant to serve on the side of an espresso saucer. Or for a party, these are gorgeous on a tiered tray, which you can build out of various sized plates and teacups if you don't have a ready-made one on hand. I think these might become a signature treat at the Sidework House, and I am so glad that I was introduced to them via the Great British Baking Show. I can't wait to see what next week brings, which is going to be Bread Week, but until then, I'll be right here where the Sidework ends.